Well, 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 well. Everton nil, West Ham United 1. Who would have thought? We went up there. Was probably it looked like it was going to be the most boring game that we'd played so far this season. And then it came to life, didn't it? West Ham United went up to Everton and beat them 1-0 at their own ground. And who would have thought? Who would have thought? Now, before we do anything else, because I know I'm going to forget, I've got to do this.
West Ham's Irons United and OneFootball have partnered up for the month of December. OneFootball is everything you could possibly need in a football-related app. From live scores, stats, transfer news, it is everything that a football fan could possibly need in one. Now, what we need you guys to do is go over to our YouTube channel, look in the description, and you'll find a link to download OneFootball's app. Get involved. It's my go-to, and we are delighted to be teaming up with them for December.
I forgot to do that earlier, so I might have to do it again at the end.
Do still?
I forgot to. Nothing. How are you, Nigel?
Oh, right. Don't forget about the sponsors still. One football, in case you forgot.
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate.
I see you've got no goals allowed. I'm surprised you didn't fall asleep until we scored there.
No goats allowed still.
No goats allowed.
Especially for you. Not in your flat. You're not allowed any goats.
No. Well, yeah,
I know you got jealous of one new notification and his 3 goats. And
he's got 3 goats. He said he's got 3 goats. Like he must own a farm or something.
Or he lives on a hillside in Nicosia or wherever it is that the lonely Greek goat herders live. We've got a little Greek fan club starting on the podcast. I don't know if you heard. We've had a new one join us.
Mate, I was listening. I think you've had 2 other Greeks apart from me, haven't you?
Yeah, well, there's, I don't
know why. You know why that is, though, don't you, mate? It's because of me.
Well,
like wherever I go,
that'll be it.
the Greek goat herders follow.
Yeah.
Let's bring
Lee says Nigel is a Kilmarnock fan. Can I just point out I support Patrick Thistle up in Scotland.
Patrick Thistle.
Getting Nigel confused with Ant, aren't they?
Yeah, it was a great Alan Anson used to play for, and his brother Bob, I believe. There you go. And Alan Ruff, that legendary Scottish goalkeeper who was absolutely shite.
But this ain't a Scottish football podcast, no. Nigel.
No.
Good evening, Jake, and good evening, Dan, and good evening, Nigel. Where do we start? Where do we start? I mean, the first half, did we think that after that first half, did we think that we were going to get anything out of this game apart from maybe a dull, boring 0-0?
Yeah, mate, it looked that way, didn't it? Both teams looked unambitious. They looked like they were happy to take a draw. I watched that first 10 minutes and I went, this will be 0-0. I was amazed when we grabbed the goal in the second half, to be honest with you. I genuinely had 0-0 written all over it after that first 10 minutes. Yeah.
Jake, what did you think of the first half?
Well, it's possibly one of the worst we've seen so far this season. I thought we defended very well in the whole game, but I thought going forward there was no game plan again. I thought in the first half going forward there was nothing. There was nothing there, I thought, really going forward. Ben Rama, we all wanted him to start. He started. He was the only kind of little spark I thought we had going forward. And even I thought he didn't have the best of games, but I thought, as you said, I think we were all hoping, we all were hoping for a win, but 0-0 was most likely until the 86th minute.
Yeah. What did you think of the starting lineup, Nigel? Did it surprise you in any way? Dawson retained his place.
Not really. I mean, Dawson did well enough, didn't he, against Southampton? You know, everybody thought Southampton were going to spank us when the team was announced. Dawson did okay. We kept a clean sheet. That's Moyes. Moyes' mantra. He likes to start there and build going forward. All good. I suppose if you've got the shirt, if you get given a chance and you do as well as I thought Dawson did, then I suppose you deserve another shot. And at the end of the day, Danny Ings was coming back from injury, but didn't really have a snifter apart from the one that was flagged offside. So I think Moyes done the right thing in allowing Dawson to keep the shirt. Let's see him up against Everton. And apart from that strange non-injury,
that was weird, wasn't it? He went down like a sack of potatoes.
He shattered his knee or something, and then he gets up, walks up, and it was like, oh.
It was right as rain. He had a drink of that
him
magic
a COVID
water.
test while he was there, the 15-minute quick one while he was laying down. He went, "Oh, you're right, mate. Get up, and then you can play on." But I mean, he did not. Him and Ogbonna. You know, I texted you earlier. Ogbonna was man of the match for me. Still,
mate, he's hammer of the year, hammer of the season. You know,
and I mean, it was a dull game. Let's not, you know, as I say, goals are fun, and I'm not going to dress it up. But in a way, there was a bit of me that thought if it had finished 0-0, we've just matched a team that could have gone second.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, that is an improvement. If you look at it in that way, that the club is still going forward. It's an improvement. The fact that we've had that performance against the Everton, who have looked really good, the 4-1 defeat in the League Cup.
Yeah.
Earlier, you know, especially with Randolph in goal, who was in goal that day.
Yeah, you texted me just before.
No, yes. You know, so you know, there's all that to bear in mind, but sometimes when the goalkeeper comes in late, he ain't had time to be mentally be affected by who he's facing.
A really good point.
It's like he's got to get out there and just play the game. He ain't got time to worry about who they got up front, what they got to do. But at the end of the day, the two teams nullified each other, really, didn't they?
They did. And, absolutely.
You know, we had 4 or 5 shots on target, but 2 of those, well, you had, you know, from the goal. Maybe, I don't know if Creswell's was on target before it was deflected wide.
I think it was going well wide, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, you know, it's a lucky goal at the end of the day, don't they? But they all count.
They do. Dan, talk to me about the lineup, mate. I mean, you know, as Nigel just said, Randolph came in right at the last minute. We hear that Fabianski's got a groin injury, so we don't know how long he's going to be out for. Did you have any fears when you saw Randolph coming in, or did you think, well, at least
there's always a little bit of trepidation, isn't there, when Fabianski's not in goal? You know, he's the number 1 at the club for a reason. I was surprised. I've got to be honest. I was surprised at the lineup. That's the lineup I would have thought he'd have gone with against Brighton.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's a weird one. It's a weird one. You know, you look at that formation, you look at that team, and you think at home, that's the team you go with against the Brighton who are struggling. The fact we've gone away from home to Goodison, and he's used that. You know, he's shown a little bit of ambition for a change. All right, the two teams, like Nigel said, they nullified each other, didn't they? Cancelled each other out massively, but yeah, it was nice to see. It was nice to see him put out. So for me, that's as close to our full strength squad as you're going to get, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. You bring Fabian and Antonio, and that's a very good team in my opinion. Like Dawson's done all right the last 2 games, 2 clean sheets from his first 2 starts. So, and he looks quite assured. You know, I look at Balbuena, and as good as he is, he has a moment in him, doesn't he? Just where it looks like his laces of his boots are tied together, and he could just fall over at any time. And Diop's massively overrated. Like, I just think Diop, he's young and he's still got plenty of time to grow. So yeah, it was a good team. It was a very, very ambitious team. It makes a change, doesn't it?
Jake, talk to me about Benrahma. Were you surprised that he was included? Were you pleased that he was included?
Well, yeah, but I was definitely pleased that he was in. Still, I know you're the same as me. We all wanted him to start, and he did start. And I don't think he had the biggest of impacts he could have had, if I'm being honest. But he was, as I said earlier, I thought he was the only one in that first half that was really wanting to go forward, or even in the whole game. I thought, yeah, it was great to see him in the starting 11. And with that starting 11, that's pretty much as closest as what we've been calling for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Having support up there for Haller. Haller, he was awful, but it's time for Antonio to come back in. And I know, Stel, that you really want to support Haller, but I
do, but I mean, when I saw that lineup today, I must admit, I thought, okay, Haller stands a chance now of being really involved in the game, because he would have had both Benrahma and Bowen either side of him, and he just didn't get into it, did he? And as much as I really want him to, you know, Nigel, was this his chance? I mean, most other lineups, you kind of say Haller didn't have that, you know, didn't have the support. Do you think he would have had that support? He should have had that support today.
It's hard because all we keep saying is, West Ham don't play the right way for Haller. But it makes you think, will we ever? I mean, Ben Rama, for me, reminds me of Aaron Lennon. Great in the build-up, but the balls into the box don't seem to come off.
Yeah.
It does a lot of pretty football, Ben Rama, but so far, for me, he's not shown anything clinical around the box. I mean, he created some goals with early crosses, but I'm looking for something a bit special from him.
Do you think that's him getting used to the Premier League, or?
Yeah, the Premier League's a tough old league to get used to, especially not for a player. I mean, he's come into English football at Brentford and he's been around the Championship, I think, for a couple of years. So, but it's a different kettle of fish down there, isn't it? For every Mino, Antonio and Creswell, there's a litany of players, that have been brought from the Championship that have failed to step up to make the grade.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's just funny that it seems the last couple of buys that we've had out of the Championship are still there and actually are our better players.
Yeah, that's true. And what about Haller, mate? What do you think of his game today?
It didn't really do. I don't think he was ever caught offside, was he?
No, strangely enough, not in this game. No,
I don't. There was. I don't know what to make of it. Really, he didn't really do anything, did he? He give away a couple of few fouls. He wins headers, but they don't ever fall to anyone. Some people were throwing stats out. He's in the top 5 or something. One of the most headers in the Premier League. Well, that's only good if it leads to something. If it don't lead to anything,
is that because we keep talking about this week in, week out? When he played in Frankfurt, he would have had 2 players either side of him that were going to pick up those sorts of head downs and stuff like that. I mean, is that the difference here? That we're still not having players playing close enough to him?
I mean, if you look at the 3 behind him, he had Ben Rama, Bowen on Fornals, probably the 3 that were going to be closest to him that he's had all season.
Yeah, true.
That's quite an attacking lineup, really, when you look at it. As Dan said, when I saw the Brighton game, I thought that was a strange lineup because I thought that's the team I'd have put out against Southampton.
Yeah, everyone has said the same thing.
It was almost like he took that game for granted and got his fingers burnt.
Yeah.
So he done get a point out of it in a way when you look at how the game unfolded.
True.
So, and in a way, I think Dan was right. This is the team you'd have put out against Brighton. Mm-hmm. But if he'd have put that team out against Brighton against Everton, possibly a different result.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's nicked 5 points out of 3 games. You can't argue with that, can you, realistically, over Christmas? I mean, we're 4 points off second. There's 6 teams now with 26 points.
And we're one of them. It's unbelievable.
Premier League you will ever find. And the one reason for it is because there's no fans in the ground.
No, it's so true, though. There's certain players that are just dealing with it better than others.
Yeah, I think the players are playing with a bit more freedom and the lack of pressure. Players that perform badly under pressure from the fan base are not getting that on them.
And the irony, the game we lost recently was with fans back at the stadium.
Yeah,
Gates, man. Yeah.
Well, it's a different team, but a mate of mine's a Sheffield United fan, and they've been saying all season that the psychological disadvantage they're under because their stadium isn't full is why they're struggling so much. Because that is their 12th man. Pulled them through a lot of games last season because they ain't got it. They just cannot perform at the level they are. Like, they're still, they're solid enough. They're not really getting spanked, are they, week in, week out? But they can't score goals and they can't seem to drag themselves out of it. So, it is a good point. Like the lack of fans is helping the teams, and it is why it's close.
I think you look at it through the league. I mean, look at the Premier League and go from 10th. I mean, we got 26 points. We're in 10th. 5th on 26 points, I believe, or 29 points. Then you go up to 2nd, who I think are on 29 points. Yeah. And then you got the top of the tree, 33 points. So, I've never known a Premier League to be that close where all teams
Especially now that we're almost halfway through the season as well.
It's Christmas and we're still in the title race. Now, I know it makes you...
One could argue we're still in a relegation. One could argue we're still in a relegation battle as well because, you know...
No, it's true. You have to look up... When you're looking up that many points, you have to look down that many points to get a better picture. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you know, we're only, 7 points, 8 points behind Liverpool?
It's weird, isn't it?
You'd have bit anyone's hand off at the start of the season. I said,
agree.
New Year's Day, you're going to be this many points behind Liverpool. Level 1 point with Man City. I know we've played 3 games more than them, but they've still got to pick up the points. They're not going to win all 3 games.
But look at the games we could have got more points from the start of the season. We should have got a point against Arsenal. We've had other games we could have got points from, and we could be even up there higher. We've had luck on our side, but we've had luck against us at some points as well, and we could be even higher up the table, really, couldn't we?
Well, that's the truth. I mean, you know, we talked about the Brighton game and the bad decision making lineup for that. And then, you know, it didn't kind of help the next game when not blaming Noble, but with Noble in the team for the game after that, we didn't do too well in that either. And that was against Chelsea. I always said we should have won the Brighton game and we should have drawn at least against Chelsea. I think 3-0 still flattered Chelsea against us.
If you won the Brighton game and drawn against Southampton, and drawn against Everton, what would people have thought? It's actually better that we've come out against the Everton away. Yeah, as I said, who won the game would have gone second. They were 4 on the trot wins.
Yeah, it's a top result. I mean, you can't deny it, whatever way you want to look at it. You know, it's an absolutely brilliant result. It's not, you know, I think I gave us a 2-1 win before the game, and that was before I saw the team lineup. And then when we heard about Randolph coming in for Fabianski, that slightly worried me a little bit. And then I looked at but looking at our attacking lineup, I thought, well, we could do something, but we just want to pick up on their lineup because that's not a bad attacking lineup there, was it? You know, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Bernard. I think the thing we're probably lucky in is it was Richarlison's first game back. I don't know for how many games. Davis, I don't necessarily rate. Decore has not been doing it for Everton.
No, not the level he was at Watford.
Yeah. And you look at those 3 just behind Calvert-Lewin. I think we said in the preview, if we keep Calvert-Lewin quiet, we stand a chance. I think it helped us because Richarlison, Sigurdsson and Bernard are not necessarily on form at the moment, are they? Not at their top form. Dan?
No. It's the trouble they've got as well is they've not had James Rodriguez for a while either. He's had that calf injury. They're a different unit when he's in there. Calvert-Lewin's on a bit of a streak now, isn't he, where he ain't scored? I was reading before the game. Yeah, so they've seemed to have dried up a little bit for him, but he relies on that 3 behind him for that service. You know, it's like any striker, isn't it? You know, and he didn't get it today. Oggy was absolute man-mountain. Like, you know, you were joking earlier still, Hammer of the Year, but let's be honest, he's got to be up there, isn't he? He's got to be in the top 3 for it at the minute. He's been phenomenal this season.
I know we joke about it quite a lot, but for me, he has been the top defender at West Ham for the past, 3 seasons or so for me. I know, Anton's view that, you can't be the top defender in a shit team, but that for me is when a defender really comes to the fore. When your team isn't playing well and you've still got a solid defender there. And for me, how many partners has he had over the last few seasons? I'm kind of losing count. Balbuena, Diop, now Dawson. That's only this season alone. Let alone how many more he's had before that. I mean,
Winston Reid. What's he been with us since 2015?
2014, 2015. Yeah. Collins Reid, exactly.
Reid.
And he's been.
He's been the one that's still there. He's the staple.
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
All it needs to be said, doesn't it? Really. Yeah. When you look at it that way, just coming back to their starting lineup, and you were talking about Haller and Ben Rama and whatnot getting involved. You look at their defence. That's not their best defence they would have put out. Let's be honest. They usually would have had Keane in there, and they would have had Digne at left back. When you look at it like that, that's when Haller should be stepping up, and he should be trying to put the pressure on. When it isn't there, first string. That's when you got to take your opportunity. The trouble we've got with Haller, I said it on that late show we did recently still, is that he doesn't have the players around him the way that he did at Frankfurt. But the trouble we've got as well is we're not, although you play with those three behind him, they don't play close. They don't play tight like they did at Frankfurt. They played as a three. They played as a two inside forwards and him through the middle as a false nine. We don't play that now. We play two wide and an attacking midfielder. Project Haller, unfortunately, I'm a bit like you, Star. I've wanted it to happen because he was a good player in Germany. We have to put it to bed. We just have to. He's never going to fit in Moyes' formation, right? And at the end of the day, it's only the lad that's suffering there. It's almost like he's being sent out there to foul. It was especially the case against Southampton.
He's sent out there because he's the only other option we've got until Antonio's fully fit. I think that's why he's sent out there. Otherwise, he wouldn't be.
The transfer window is now open. Sorry, go on, Jake.
No, tomorrow still.
Tomorrow, is it? Right.
Yeah, today's bank holiday, mate, so they'll get a day off, apparently.
Go on, you were going to say, Jake.
Well, it could be one of the last times we do see Haller in a West Ham shirt. Whether he'll go, we don't know, do we? Whether Josh King, we don't know whether that's done and dusted. If that's done, I could see him going, really.
Well, I don't think he'll go in January. I think he'll go at the end of the season without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think they will, to be honest with you. I reckon Josh King will come in. I mean, it's the worst kept secret.
Weird one. The Josh King one's a weird one. I've said this to you before. He ain't an Antonio. So if they're expecting him to come in and do the same job that Antonio does, they're going to be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah,
he's so much better as a support striker.
Yeah,
played in that 4-4-2 at Bournemouth and did a fantastic job. But if you ain't going to have players up there with him, he ain't going to do that job. We shouldn't. I think it's a weird one. But at whatever the price they're going to pay for him, whether they consider it a deal, I don't think it's the best signing personally.
I'm with you. I don't necessarily want to see Josh King there, but I think it's going to happen, and you can see why, because it's interesting because we spoke to the Everton fan in the preview, Mike, and he was talking about how Moyes treated his players when he was at Everton, and he's done much the same thing. Like the flair players were rarely getting a looking. The strikers were expected to play in a particular way that didn't always suit them, and he went through quite a number of strikers at Everton, Moyes, and it sounds like what Moyes has got a mindset as to how he wants to play the game. No one's saying it's, look at, we'll take Everton's success over the past years when he was there, always challenging for Europe, getting into a cup final every now and again and stuff like that. So I'm sure as West Ham fans, we take that. But the Everton fan in the preview was saying he gets to a seat, there's a certain level that Moyes reaches and then he can't pass that. And I think what Moyes is going to do with West Ham is he's going to make us solid. Absolutely. We could definitely be looking at challenging in the top six rather than fighting relegation battles. But when we want to go that next step up, getting the best out of certain players, Mike also said that what Moyes is very good at is he's very good at taking forward his midfielders and making them better, taking forward his defenders, making them better, but not necessarily his strikers.
He's definitely made us a stronger unit. But the trouble with that is if you're a manager and you've got a mindset, why are you not trying to find the players that fit the mindset? Why are you trying to mould players that can't be moulded?
Well, if you look at his Everton's teams, his best players, fun enough, were like Tim Cahill for a long period, midfielder, and Fellaini, midfielder. Look at the strikers that he had. The likes of the Kevin Campbells and that, they weren't that, outstanding. So perhaps, Moyes is just sticking to his tried and tested mantra. But at the end of the day, if you look at what we've gone through in the past 3 or 4 years, this is a fantastic season we're having.
It is, isn't it? I mean, we're kind of missing that, aren't we? We're missing that point that we started the season worrying about our fixtures and got through them swimmingly. And then we kind of looked over our shoulders and went, oh, hang on a minute. We've just been through those first 8-9 games. and we managed to get through them well. And then we looked at our Christmas run-up and thought, oh, here we go again. Chelsea, Man United, Leeds away and all that sort of stuff. But we've got through that as well, haven't we? And as you said, Nigel, we're 26 points. We're joint fifth. I mean, who would have thought this at the beginning of the season? So it is a fantastic season, isn't it? It really is. And that's without a striker being on form. That's the irony. That's without a striker being on form.
Well, you say that. I think when Antonio's played, look at the difference Antonio made in that half hour. Direct, straight away, shot on target. It was quite simple for Pickford to say, but he still got in there and got the shot off on target. So straight away, the dynamic of the team was changed. And I think that's when Dan's right. I find the Josh King saga a bit baffling to me because he plays more like a Haller than an Antonio. So while I agree that you got to have strikers, that are different, but you need strikers to complement each other as well. Mm-hmm. So you think back 3 years ago, we had 4 strikers. Now, I'm not saying they were great. I'm not saying they were outstanding because obviously, not many of them got goals, but we had the likes of Carroll, Chicharito, Arnautovic, Perez, and we went from them 4 to just 2, which is the problem, which hopefully they can start to remedy, but it's going to take a while. It ain't going to be, at the end of the day, you don't really get anything great in January to start with. I think Josh King, 13 million on a 6-month contract with Bournemouth, is overpriced.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like because he's only going to have 6 months left, I think it's going to be less than 13. Yeah. I think it's going to be around 9, 10. But even that,
but why are you even paying a fee if you can pick him up for nothing?
Because
if you're that keen on the player, and you can get by, because he's not going to fit the system. 9 million quid for 6 months worth of contract is that's bonkers to me. We're doing well now. Like if you actually look at where the team is, we're top half. We could be higher than we are if our goal difference was better. Half a season left. I don't see why you're going to spend. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I don't know why you're going to go spend 9 million quid on a player you can get free in 6 months' time.
Well, I agree, but that's because Moyes wants him now, which begs the question. And Jake just mentioned, will this be the last we see of Haller? If we get King, is this the end of Haller, or will he become a fringe player?
If I'm being honest, I want Haller gone. As much as I've tried to back him, this just comes to the end now, and that's just really topped him off tonight, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, though. It ain't worked, has it? Project Haller, as I keep calling it, it just hasn't worked. So
it ain't worked, but you've got to keep him for the cup. We've got
it's a good point, but
in January, you don't want to throw Antonio in, so you play Haller up front.
Do you think with Josh King coming in, that Moyes might decide to finally play 2 strikers?
Hopefully.
Haller and Antonio?
Yeah, but then you could have done that this whole time.
He could have done
it doesn't make sense if you're going to bring a player in.
Could have done, but maybe Moyes is thinking, I don't want them both on the pitch in case they both get injured. So maybe with a 3rd striker in the squad, it does give him the opportunity to do that. Or
maybe I would have pulled. For me personally, I would have pulled Yarmolenko inside because he's useless out wide.
He was pretty bad today, wasn't he?
He plays with his head down. Professional footballers play with their head down, and he's got like a left foot, and that is it. Like I don't know what his right foot does. It's like it's gone missing. But he can't. He ain't got the pace to play out wide. He changed completely on that right hand side the minute Bowen went off because there was no one trying to get him behind because he just couldn't. There was a point where Benrahma put a ball out wide and Yarmolenko couldn't get there, and it was just one of them. It's just like I would pull him inside and just try. Just see if he could hold the ball up. He's a big lad, isn't he? See if he could hold the ball up and see if he could join play.
But for every Yarmolenko, there's this player. Nigel, talk to me about Thomas Souček.
I mean, the best thing about today was that Sean Whetstone had a bet that West Ham was going to win 1-0. There was three things to this bet. There was two of them came in, and he actually had Souček to score, and his bet didn't come in because he had Souček to score with a header. And I thought, that's brilliant, that. So he don't get his money. I was made up because Souček did score, but not with an header. So poor old Sean, his bet didn't come in. Mr. Paint Dry. I'm sure he had. Do you know what Big Spender had on it? Probably about £2, and he would have won £13. Therefore, I'm sure Sky Bet were well happy in keeping his £2. Dear, oh
dear. Jake, Thomas Souček, bargain of the season.
Yeah, and so far they're both the checkmates. I tell you what, they're not only a couple of the best players we've got on our pitch at the moment, they're our best scouts as well. Because honestly, Souček, where will we be without him? Is at his 5th goal this season back to back. He's the rock. He's half of the rock in the midfield, and he's a great header of the ball. We didn't score with a header today, but honestly, he's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Dan, Thomas Souček.
Honestly, he's just unreal, isn't he? Did you hear his post-match interview?
I tried. Well, no, I listened to it. I didn't understand a bloody word of it.
That was a great bit of TV still, watching you listen to Souček. I thought my stream was buffering. You're like...
Well, he said something along the lines of, usually we have 3 weeks off for Christmas and I'm sat home eating me potato salad. He's just
is that why someone said potato salad anyway?
Yeah, it's quite funny. He's just a humble lad, isn't he? Just loving it. It depends what you want to believe, but apparently Bayern Munich are interested in him. So
we've done that. Yeah, but if they are, Nigel,
his price tag's going to be mad, isn't it?
This is what I was just about to ask. If Bayern Munich are in for a player like him, would we let him go for £45 million? And strengthen the squad.
Bottom dollar they would.
We'd be stupid if we would.
I don't. Listen, the finances of the club are not that great. It depends. If I would like to think that if West Ham got that offer and they went to Moyes and said 45 million for Souček, what can you do with that 45 million? And he says, right, I can bring this bloke, and this bloke in, then you would think, right, you do the deal. But if Moyes says no, because I'm building my team around him and Declan Rice or Souček, then you'd like to think that they would hold off and not take the money. Personally, I can't see Munich coming in January for him.
No.
I think
next season.
Yeah, I think next season. But all Moyes has got to do is look at Fellaini and go, look what happened when he went to a bigger club. Look, he bombed when he went to Man United. Do you want to be like him, or stay and be?
Souček is miles apart from Fellaini. Sorry, I got distracted by this, Nigel. This comment from someone called Sean Wheatstone.
Yeah, Mr. Paint Dry. Have you?
Nigel isn't very entertaining, in my opinion.
That's all because I had a go at him because he creamed himself off because we'd won the game, and I turned around and said it was a dull game, and he said, "Who cares? We won 1-0." And I told him that football's an entertainment sport, and if it's just about the result, stop fucking watching the game. Excuse me, Jake. I said, don't bother fucking watching the game. Just text me at the end, and I'll tell you the score.
I'm surprised he didn't watch a film instead.
Well, there you go. He is a fair weather fan. We all know when we're playing bad, he switches off and waits for the goals announcements to ping up on his phone. he probably had Ben Hur on, recorded from earlier, that classic, and watching it on his phone or whatever he does.
I'm looking at some comments while we're sort of talking, and there seems to be some conversation going on about Soufal. People, I don't know, because I've missed quite a few comments before. Soufal's game today. Did anyone see anything wrong with his game today? Or did I
haven't seen anything wrong with his game since he's been here? It took him a little bit of time to get up to speed, didn't it? The first game or two, but he's been everything we've been screaming out from a right back for years. So
and watch this comment coming up now. from When Skies. Sofal has been our best right back since Ray Stewart.
Tim Breaker was pretty decent, to be fair, who came in after. What about Johnny Pantsill?
Yeah, Schemmel, he was Hammer of the Year, wasn't he?
Schemmel. Or Guy Demel.
No. He's so bad, he ended up on Russ's My Hammers 11 the other day.
And Mr. Wheatstone has made another comment here. This should be about entertainment.
Still, why are you putting up him?
Because I'm winding him up.
He's irrelevant. Let him go. He's so jealous because I'm on and you didn't text him. So because he knows that he's the alternative, but when you can't get me, that you have to go clapping hand to him.
So let's go back to the goal. Now, it seems that Ancelotti was upset in some way. Did anyone see any problem with the goal that was scored?
Nope.
No.
Did it look offside? Was there a foul?
We weren't even close to being offside.
No.
Still, just coming back to Souček.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if the board do something because we're still trying to pay off the last bits of the lamppost deal, aren't we? So.
No, you mustn't get involved in what these viewers say, Jake, and start calling players names. Only veterans like me are allowed to do that. I don't know. According to Mr. Wheatstone, we've paid off all the money now for Allaire. I could be wrong. I don't know, but so there wasn't any problem with the goal because it looked like there was Ancelotti was complaining. I think Amis Rodriguez was complaining at the end of the game as well, but I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Oh, mate, had it been offside, VAR would have
picked it up.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? VAR's not exactly been our best mate, is it? So it would have picked it up, but it weren't even close. I don't even think they had to check. Like it was.
No, he was well behind. There was a defender
on side
in front of Pickford that was playing everyone on side. It deflected off of
off an Everton player,
of Mina, I think. So no, there was nothing even in the build-up shot. I don't even think anyone was offside. The original shot was by Souček, wasn't it? As the ball came over, when Pickford palmed it out, I think Souček was onside when the original ball was played through to him. There was nothing there for them to complain about. Was
it a smash and grab? Do you think we?
I don't know. I think it was an even game until that chance. I said after the game that you could see inside the first 10 minutes, both teams would have been happy with a 0-0 and a point. And one chance, if it comes to either team, was going to win it. And it did. It fell to us, lucky enough. You only had to look at the game after we scored the goal. Everton didn't really go for it, did they? They just didn't have it. They didn't have it in them tonight.
Well, that's a good point from George. I thought we made them look ordinary, because I think if there was a slight fear, when I looked at their team lineup, and it was quite attack minded, I thought they're gonna go for it. The first, and always in a game away from home, the home team usually try and go on the front foot, and it did look like in the first sort of 10 minutes or so that they had the upper hand, but we rode that storm, didn't we? We kind of, and then like you said, after that, it didn't look like we were in any threat at all throughout the whole game. We nullified them. Is that down to David Moyes, Nigel, really changing our whole thinking about how we defend as a team as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, we there was a lot of, I think, in the first half, Everton couldn't get behind us, and they were playing a lot of the ball along their back line, wide, crossing over, coming back. They tried to do the little intricate passing over on their right-hand side, our left, and couldn't get through. They've then swapped it over, couldn't get past Kufal. We had the solid bank of 4 on 5 with Haller sort of jogging around whatever he was doing, being a pest in front of them, and they couldn't get behind us. If you look at a lot of the goals we conceded, it's because teams got behind us. So obviously Moyes We'd been conceding goals in the few games leading up to, especially 2 against Brighton's pretty embarrassing when you look at how many goals they've scored. To be fair,
yeah.
So he's looked at it in the two games since and made sure that we're hard to beat. He's sort of gone back to his original mantra and drummed it into them. A lot of people will accuse Moyes of being an old style manager in the Sam Allardyce ilk, but I would always argue that Moyes, his teams were always entertaining to watch. Everton were a good team when he had them 5th, 4th in the league, 4th twice, I think, 5th about 4 or 5 times, got to an FA Cup final. They weren't a dull, long ball football team. Yeah, he builds a strong back line, but that's what teams, mid-table teams, which is what we are, have got to be strong at the back. When we're not strong at the back, that's when we get into relegation trouble.
Yeah. Antonio came on for Allaire, and this comment from George: as soon as Antonio comes on, we see more balls knocked up. Do we change our game when we have a player like Antonio on, or do you think it was no different?
The game plan doesn't change. Just Antonio moves into the channels more. He's more effective in the system. I'm sure we've all said it, maybe whether on this show or other shows, but Allaire just doesn't fit the system, whereas Antonio does. A more mobile forward that can get in behind, or Antonio will almost preempt the pass because he'll come across and he'll use his body and he'll get in front of the defender. He doesn't even, a lot of the time, have to jump and win a header. He'll take it down and then use the ball more effectively. I don't think that we change to suit either striker. I just think that one striker's more effective in that role than the other.
And Antonio works harder. That's simple as.
Yeah.
Haller, he won some headers, but he's just heading into Haller. He was just heading into nothing, and I thought, yeah, Antonio, he comes on, and there's more liveliness in the side. I think there's something to aim at there. Before with Haller just lumping it up there, he sometimes wins the header straight back to defenders, and then they come again. With Antonio, it just brings us a new light that we've missed over the last couple of months.
Yeah. Here's a comment from James. Moyes is the right man to build the platform for the next step in the future. He's just not the man for the distant future. Nigel, you talk an awful lot about, we shouldn't change managers every other season, and we've had that over the last few seasons, haven't we? So Moyes, his contract's coming up for renewal. What would you give him? 2 years, 3 years, or longer?
Well, the standard, I think, with Golden Sullivan is 2 years. I think the average lifespan of a Premier League manager, especially at West Ham, is roughly three years, if not less. I think Redknapp's the longest ever Premier League manager we had. He got 7 seasons. I think the next one is Allardyce with 4. So the club of 5 managers in 90 years has racked them up in the Premier League. But we're still probably mid-table in the amount of times we've changed our managers. Now, that's a good twofold question, because when you look at the fact that West Ham's got the oldest, I think, average age in the Premier League at the moment, so the average age of the West Ham team is around 28. What that says is the long-term future of that team is at least half of it will not be there, or maybe more, in 5 years' time. So the problem with managers, they don't get 5 years anymore. Moyes has got 2 years to look like he's building something. So he's got to take the nucleus of what he's got there and gradually replace the older players for younger. Now, the problem that Moyes has had is our transfer dealings in the past, where we keep buying 28, 29-year-olds, paying big money for them, has left us twofold with a team that's aging, and there's no money to spend because we spent it all on these players that haven't delivered for us.
And yet we are about to imminently sign another 28-year-old who turns 29 this month.
There was an argument about should we have signed Josh King in September, October, or Ben Rama, and there's stories going around that Sullivan wanted Ben Rama and Moyes wanted King, and Sullivan won out, and it's a disgrace. But actually, when you look at it, if that was the case, then actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Sullivan was right to say no Ben Rama, because Ben Rama's got more of a future. Signing Josh King, even 10 million at his age, is going to get 3 years out of him top back.
At most. Yeah.
And then you've got to replace him again.
Yep. Mike, who was on the preview, mate, sorry for the defeat today. Mike says, I'm not in a good place right now. Socek, I said it. I said how important he was. Well done tonight, gents. Stay safe and good luck. He was a really, really good guest, by the way. So for those of you who watched our preview, hats off to you, Mike, and thanks for coming on tonight as well.
Well, if he lives in Liverpool, he's not in a good place anyway, is he?
Mike, take no notice of him.
Just donated £5.
And he donated £5 as well. Kent, we're overachieving. I like it. 7 points from the next 3 games is a must. 7 points from the next 3 games. I mean, we're getting greedy now, aren't we?
I don't know who the next 3 games are.
I'm trying to wrap my brain. Sorry, go on. West Brom,
Burnley, Palace. Is that right?
Well, that's 9 points in the bag, isn't it? Where we're playing.
I'll tell you what, if we don't beat Allardyce...
Oh, mate, we'll beat him. Don't worry.
I'd give anything to be at that game.
Oh, mate, I know. But what can we do? I think we're going to have to get a Zoom party in to watch that game, actually. I think that's the way to go.
Need a wide angle Zoom to have Allardyce on. I've got my Sam Allardyce model here, look. Look away. Even that or Sean Whetstone, they both look quite similar.
Right, man of the match. Jake, man of the match.
Ogbonna. I said Rice in my review, but I've changed to Ogbonna. I think
you're getting wiser as you're getting older, Jake. Thank goodness for that. That's because you're sticking around with what I say rather than what Anton says, which is a good thing for you.
Is that because Anton isn't here and we're not reviewing the Kilmarnock game?
He's in the chat. Look, fair play to Dawson. 2 games, 2 clean sheets.
You should have seen one of the other comments he made still about Ogbonna.
Yeah, well, I'd rather not because he's.
No, he's surprising how nice he was.
Yeah, well, because he's eating his words. If he had his way.
I wonder what he was eating over Christmas because he looked a bit bigger when we were seeing him earlier. He needs to stop talking if he's eating words. Wow, dear. All that lockdown ain't doing well for him, is it?
Still, when's the Arnie rumour coming?
Mate, if it was Anton, he'd have Arnautovic and Reed back in the team. That shows the level that he wants to play at, But man of the match, Dan.
Yeah, Oggy. He was an absolute man back there, weren't he? I think you can look past him, really.
Nigel, are we going full house here?
See, I sent you that picture, innit? You could have put me picture up of Ogbonna. And
what picture's that?
The one I text you.
No, mate, I don't know if I want to look at it. Was that the other week?
No, today.
Today?
Of Ogbonna.
Hang on, let me have a look.
Man of the match, outstanding.
Yeah, hang on. What have I got here? Show this photo on air and zoom in on Nige. He don't like the negative Nige look. You know what he's talking about. I went to look for your comment, but here we go. Am I allowed to do this?
Do what you like, mate. Sure show. Yeah, the people won't see it. But look at Sean, look, there, oh dear. You can do, look, Sam Allardyce at Graham there, look, in the West Ham shirt. Look how wide he is. You need a bigger poster with Sean there.
He looks a bit chunky there, doesn't he?
Yeah, see, that's what happens when you've got Canning Lynn as a mate.
So it's full house. Ogbonna, man of the match, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, any last comments before we head off? We're going to go in under an hour.
No, nothing much more needs to be said, does it?
Looking forward to getting kicked out of the FA Cup by Stockport.
I've got a question for Jake.
Go on.
You got a brother of you then? You got bunk beds there?
No.
Oh,
I haven't got a brother.
I wonder you had like another West Ham fan in the family. Whereabouts you from?
Somerset.
Somerset. I thought it was West Country accent. Look, look, Ogbonna, look.
Ogbonna, man of the match.
He's a puppet from Thunderbirds, Ogbonna.
Sorry, God, I missed that. Did you ask him the question, or
He's an out of towner. I thought so. He's from Somerset.
I've got someone for you that you've got to do the show on. And that's Richard, our South African correspondent.
Oh, right.
You got to have him.
Advertises One Football.
He was the one. He was the one that did the advert.
Yeah,
I've got to ask a question. Why does Richard talk like that in the advert? He don't talk like that in person, does he?
I don't know.
What was that all about?
That was his posh South African accent.
It was like his newsreader impression, wasn't it?
Okay, lads. Thank you all for joining me. What a great start to the new year. West Ham Irons United hitting 5,000 subscribers. That's one subscriber more than just a podcast. So we're beating them on that count. and a win to start the season, start off the new year. So on we go to Stockport in 11 days' time or 10 days' time. I'm sure we'll have. Oh yeah, if you want to buy a mug, go onto our website and order a mug. I think Anton's ordered more than he should have done, and now he's got stuck with a whole box load of them.
So you should have done a deal with me still. I could have done a supply and demand special.
Still, watch out because there'll be Kilmarnock on the bottom on the next set.
Made in Kilmarnock, probably something like that. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Vinay. Yeah. 100% record for 2021. Well, we've got Stockport next, so don't count your chickens just yet, or don't count your goats, as Nigel would have it. Thank you all for watching. Much appreciated.
That's why they sacked you still, though, isn't it? You couldn't count the goats when you were standing there.
I'm going to go while the game's good. Thank you all for watching, chaps. Thank you all for coming on. Much appreciated. Onwards and upwards. I'll be back on Sunday for the West Ham Weekly. We'll have and we're still waiting for Anton to do his weekly show. Dan's coming back on board, so we might do a thing or two over the next week or so, mate. Yeah. And we've still got Nigel still on the. We've still got his signature on that transfer document, so we're not letting that go. So we might get something out of him.
Window's not open yet, though, is it?
Well, tomorrow. But thank you all for watching. Much appreciated. Great win for West Ham United. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? Away. David Moyes must be having a right old giggle tonight, having beaten his old team. So thank you all for watching. We'll be back soon. And come on, you Irons. You're going to do that, Nige?